Here. Hello, hello, hello. This is the Muzilog Magazine Podcast. I'm Samuel Archer, your host, and today we have a special guest in the building. He goes by the name Jeff Lederer. Am I saying the Lederer correctly?
You said it absolutely perfectly, Sam, but I will tell you that most of my close friends tend to just call me Led. So I invite you, if you care to, you can call me Led now that we're new friends.
All right. So, I said Lederer, and we'll go by Jeff Led today. And we want to welcome you to the show. How are you doing today, Jeff?
I'm very well, thank you, and thank you for graciously inviting me to speak with you about my music and with your listeners and this fantastic platform of Muzilog Magazine. I'm really digging it. As I was saying, the diversity of musical approaches that you are covering and what you're doing. It's great.
Well, thank you so much. I grew up. It's interesting. I grew up with radio. I'm a musician as well, but radio of the 70s and the 80s. I'm a 70s kid, by the way. But the 70s, 80s, radio was a part of my life, but I didn't know how much of an influence it was until I decided to venture into it. And I ventured into it because we had two e-magazines online and we had the podcast. So the radio was really to be that other catalyst to sort of, where we could share the different interviews. And then I became part of some music, like DJ pools and roundtables. And they started sharing the music. And then I had this wild idea. Why don't I feature the music of the people I'm interviewing and that I've written articles on? So it's just really, I'll say 90% of what you're hearing is indie music. So we call it the home of indie artists. And obviously indie is you have the gospel version of indie. So we're playing a lot of gospel today. We have soca and calypso and reggae. We have reggae Mondays, and then from Tuesday to Friday, we mix it up with R&B and soul and jazz and blues, and we have some bluegrass coming in somewhere, and a little country and southern soul. Yep. So it's almost like a gumbo. We might have to change the gumbo.
Oh yeah, musical gumbo, that would work. Well, I just say, and I'm preaching to the choir here because you're already there. I'm going to say I love radio. And radio, I have a position. I'm kind of an academic too. I have a position teaching college students. And I was just saying to them the other day, to college music students, that radio is just so important especially for young musicians who are trying to connect with audiences and all that. And, they're so involved in the digital streaming world at this point. But radio is really, and for me personally, it's always been an essential thing. And as a matter of fact, on this project that I'm joining you today to talk about, I just sent out physical radio packages, that is CDs, compact discs, and I don't mind doing that. It costs a little money to mail them out. I love it. And I sent out to my list of 150 across the country, about 30 to 50 international. But what I want to share with you, Sam, is when I was before I seal that envelope with the CD and the information, I look at the name. And then I'm like, wow, this is my old friend. So I write a little note on the back of the press release, hey, man, how you doing? And I realized, wow, this is a whole community. And after, a few years in the business myself, it's really wonderful to know that there's a community, all of us out here trying to keep music in the air. Yeah.
Yes. So which university are you at?
My primary affiliation is with Long Island University in New York, LIU. Where I teach in a program, Music, Technology, Entrepreneurship, and Production. So we really come at music making from a lot of directions. And I also teach in New York, in Manhattan at the New School, 1 day a week. So I'm around young people a lot, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, ironically, and why I'm smiling so much is that I'm at Full Sail University. I'm in the music business department.
Oh, no kidding. Wow, I did not know that. And I'm very familiar with your programs.
Yes. Oh, okay. Wow. So we might have
course.
to chop it up a little bit after. Good to,
Well, yeah, if we get started on music business and entrepreneurship and such, we'll never get around to talk about the music.
yeah,
There's a lot to talk about.
That's why I said after, because all right, this is amazing, so amazing. So I put the press release up, and this is your actual first was it like a first solo recording for you, or?
Well, no, actually, no, I have a long history of recordings with other artists, and I'm a saxophonist, woodwind player based in New York City, and I've been here for quite a while. So I've actually done a great diversity of musics. Coming kind of from a jazz perspective, also from the classical world a little bit, and also I've spent quite a bit of time traveling in the world of Caribbean music, a little bit less in the reggae scene, and actually more in the day. I played with some of the Haitian compa bands. I really love that music.
Yes, yes.
So I also come from a lot of different perspectives myself. So this album is the 15th on my own label, and then there's a whole mess albums I've done with other folks. So there's been quite a bit. This one is a little bit unique. The name of this album, There's a Yearning, in that it really is, it's something quite different, and it's something that comes from joining classical and jazz worlds. And it also is an album in which I'm really, my mission, my goal here is to shine a light on the work of some 3 great jazz alto saxophonists who were also composers, and not everybody knows to what depth their composition activity went to. And I'm talking about Ornette Coleman, Oliver Nelson, and the third one, Eric Dolphy, who's a great hero of mine. And we're able to share some music of theirs in, I don't use the word classical, I say in the composition, notated composition side, because when we say classical, it tends to bring with it a whole history of a connection of European classical music. And this is not European classical music. This is contemporary music written by these great jazz alto saxophonists. Yeah.
Okay. Now I like the promo that you have going around in terms of the picture. You have like a sax, you have your sax, then there's a flower in the bell, and then you have another thing here and another flower. I'm like, this is interesting. So what was the concept behind the cover? Well, I think that's your promo picture. That's not really the cover, but that's the promo pic of the project.
You're right. That's a promo picture. And that one actually was associated with my previous recording, that picture. And the flower actually has a specific meaning. That recording, I was very different. I was jazz music. I was playing saxophone, and it was based on some of the ideas from the Buddhist philosophical tradition. And that flower and the look, the colors and the look of it actually were a little bit related to some of the ideas I was dealing with in that album, having to do with the so-called Eightfold Path of Buddhism. This new one, if I should have circulated a new picture of myself with the clarinet, because I'm playing more clarinet than saxophone.
Well, okay. Well, it's working. At least it's sort of like a grabber. You kind of see it like what's this all about? Because it catches you. And truth be told, after I spoke to Zach yesterday, and shout out to Zach and the whole management that's working with you on this. I have the black shade version to the one you're wearing in the picture. I was actually I was planning to put that on, and I just left it in the car. So there goes that idea. It's gonna stay over there. Yeah. But this is amazing. This is amazing. So let's talk about pretty much let's talk about the meat of the project, what you want listeners to gather from it, and what is your whole concept of even attempting a project like this?
Yeah, so this is a really different one for me. So like I've said, I've played everything from, with Haitian compa bands. I have quite a bit of presence on the New York salsa scene and jazz scenes, and all kinds of things I've done over the years. This is really unique. This album, There's a Yearning, is actually it's not scored for a band. It's an album for woodwind quintet. So your listeners that are more on the classical side will know that I'm talking about an ensemble of oboe, flute, clarinet, French horn, and bassoon. So this is a group, an ensemble that Mozart wrote for, and classical, has this classical background to it. But in fact, I'm using this group because these greats, and I'm saying legendary jazz saxophonist Ornette Coleman and Oliver Nelson, great jazz composer, and Eric Dolphy, all wrote music for this particular interesting sounding woodwind quintet ensemble. And in addition, my wife Mary sings on this project with lyrics that she's created for the music. So I call this music for winds and voice. So there's no drums, there's no bass, a lot of things that just the texture is very, very different. And that's what I'm trying to bring out in this one. So it's kind of like a chamber music jazz, if you will. It's a very different approach for me.
Okay. I look forward to checking it out. A lot of times when I'm going to do an interview, sometimes I do a little bit of, snooping around and see what's happening. I'm going to say what this is. And so I normally saw, like, you have a lot more things within the world of education. And I was kind of like, is he kind of bringing that part of it too? I saw a little bit of school, but I wasn't sure. Then I saw like an ensemble. I'm like, well, maybe. So I look forward to hearing where you take it,
Yeah, well, it's in a lot of different directions. I'm sure some pretty new for your listeners. And I like people to bring their open minds to everything that I do. You are right about education. I tend to bring that to everything I do in a way. I mean, but that goes for all of us, really, all of us performers. And I was telling a student the other day, like right up to Wynton Marsalis, who's just the great leader of jazz at Lincoln Center, is just stepping down from that role, great jazz trumpet player. But he's also at his core an educator. So I like to think that there's three sides of my musical activity, which is performing, composing, and teaching. And all three of those are going all the time.
Amen. What was the recording process like? Was it pretty much more on an analog level? Did you include some of the sequencing and digital and stuff? How did that look?
It's great that you ask about that. So when I think back on my first recording session, now I'm going to date myself. So 1991, the first solo album, we ran that thing in Brooklyn at a studio, wonderful studio that's no longer there, Systems 2, on 2-inch tape, did everything analog. It was really beautiful. Okay. And I hear it when I hear the sound now. For this current project, we have, I think you're up in, perhaps in Springfield area, or is that where you are? No, is that misinformation? Anyway.
In Orlando? I'm in Orlando.
Oh, you're Florida. Okay, yes, you're Florida. Yes. Okay, the opposite side of things. So I have, me and my wife Mary have a little, let's say it's a cabin in the woods in Vermont. So we live in the city, New York City, but we're able to get away in the summertime. But as it happens in this tiny town of Guilford, Vermont, there's a world-class recording studio. I mean, just an unbelievable place. And I treat myself to a couple days of a project up there each summer. And that's related to, I do a music festival up there in the town of Brattleboro, Vermont. We call it New Moo, N-U-M-U, New Music. But the moo part also works with the cows because there's a lot of cows up there. So we call it New Moo. Anyway, but this studio is just out there in the woods in Vermont. I mean, out there, like miles of a dirt road, and you get to this, and what a beautiful facility. And it feels just so great to bring a group of musicians. And each summer I bring somebody up there and dedicate one project to that for my record label, Little I. And this year it was, there's a Yearning, and I brought up a group of friends. So this album, bringing historical pieces by great jazz composers for Woodwind Quintet, to life again. And I brought friends of mine. They call themselves the Wildebeest Wind Quintet. So it's a wild name. And they came up, and everybody, when they get up there, the musicians I work with, when I bring them up to the woods in Vermont, everybody kind of instantly relaxes because we're all living in New York City. we're all in hyperdrive all the time.
Yes.
Scuffling to pay the rent. You know what I'm saying?
That's
but when
true.
we get up there in the country in the middle of summer and do a project like this, it's a whole different feeling to record music in that kind of relaxed environment. And it is a beautiful environment. So I think actually on this record, there's a yearning. There's a kind of a beauty of the woodsiness of the sounds of these woodwind instruments that reflects the forest and the setting we were in.
Okay, great. You mentioned Systems 2 in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Believe it or not, I did a few sessions there many moons ago.
Wow. Well, then it was a great room.
Excellent studio. I think the project I worked on it was a gospel project. It was like a Southern gospel group. Similar to like the Five Blind Boys or the Mighty Clouds of Joy type of a vibe. And the drummer, believe it or not, played for Special Effects, the jazz band, the Content Jazz Band. So the drummer, he was, I don't know how they got him to the session, but he played, it was weird. He played with Special Effects at the World Trade. The World Trade used to do this Jazz Wednesday thing.
Out on the plaza.
CD 101.9. So I saw special, so I see Special Effects. I think it's Michael Bairding, Vince Loving, and I don't remember the drummer's name, but the three of them, they backed up, what's the brother's name there? But it was two guys, Special Effects. And so I come to the session like a couple of weeks later, and then the drummer is in the studio. And I'm like, what is he doing here? So when you said Systems 2, it took me back to like way back when.
Yes.
And they were off of Nostrand, right? I think they were like off of Nostrand.
They were right off of in that area.
Yes.
A couple of brothers, Marciano brothers, ran the place. I still work with one of them on mixing projects and such.
Okay. It was good. It was a good studio. Pretty good. Excellent studio.
Yeah, a good place to work.
Yes.
We just passed Holy Week. My friend put up an old recording of a hip hop gospel cantata that I had helped her put together. I don't get to play it very often, but I've spent some time playing with gospel services. And let me tell you something. I mean, at least in Brooklyn, the bands that are in the churches, they're unbelievable. I mean, they're so good.
Yes.
I used to work with Emmanuel Baptist in Fort Greene, and I would come in once in a while just to play saxophone in their services. And boy, this was some serious stuff. It was really serious.
I attended Hanson Place.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. The SDA church there. So I spent some time there. Yes. I actually lived in that vicinity in Fort Greene for a little bit before venturing out to all my journeys. But today's about you. So what do you want music lovers and music appreciators? Is that a word?
Yes.
What would you like them to gather from the project that you're about to release?
Yeah. So the title of this album, which is coming out on May 1, it is called There's a Yearning. And that's taken from the title of one of the compositions written by a man named Oliver Nelson, who was an alto saxophonist, genius composer, arranger of the music. What I want to get across with that title is that these three men that I'm focusing on their music here, and there's one piece of my own as well, which I'll tell you about. But these three men, Eric Dolphy, Ornette Coleman, Oliver Nelson, are known to be legends of the jazz alto saxophone and writing a lot of great tunes that we still play today. But there was more to their compositional aspirations than that, and they also composed larger pieces for orchestra, for various groups. And not all of that work actually got to be heard in their lifetime, some of it. I'm going to tell you that these three men were all working in the period of the late 1950s through the 1960s. And as you might imagine, for these composers, who were all African-American composers, there were certain barriers when they started to present music in other formats outside of their jazz world. And so the idea here, there's one piece by this genius, Eric Dolphy, and it was never heard in his lifetime. I actually found the piece because I was doing research in his personal collections, which are housed at the Library of Congress in Washington. And I found a piece in there for Woodwind Quintet group. And I wasn't familiar with it. And there was no record of it ever being played or recorded. And I realized, I believe Mr. Dolphy wrote this piece, never had a chance to have it played. So I am on a bit of a mission here, Sam, because this is music that these genius composers never had the opportunity to really highlight during their lifetimes. And so it kind of ties in with the feeling of that there's a yearning to do, always a yearning to do more in life. And imagine if they had been able to not have the barriers that they had in society in the late 1950s for a Black American composer of classical notated music. Imagine the things that they could have done in addition to all they did in the jazz world.
So this is a history lesson that you're bringing to us here.
It's a bit, I am a professor, my friend, so, you know.
Amazing. So I definitely look forward to checking out this piece or this offering that you're bringing, and with added sacredness. I feel the sacredness of your passion working on this project.
Well,
so go ahead. Sorry.
And I'll add just one more thing because you said the word sacredness. There's one additional piece by myself because I also am a composer. I brought into this only one piece of mine, but it was actually something I had written many years ago in college and kind of readapted for this recording. And that piece is actually based on a spiritual tune. They crucified my Lord and he never said a mumbling word. And particularly on a performance, I heard a recording of the great Marian Anderson singing it, and it inspired me so much that I wrote a piece for woodwinds, and even electronics are on that piece that kind of talks about the message of that piece, not only from spiritual terms, but also I believe there's a bit of a social and political message to what was being said in that tune as well. So yeah, it's all part of it. So I'm on a mission, I'm historical mission and all kinds of missions.
Well, I definitely look forward. I know my listeners are going to enjoy this episode of the podcast. So I do like to personalize my guests a little bit when they come through. Although I think we did cover a lot of personalizing in the conversation, I do ask 3 questions just to just give the audience a little vibe, about my guests. So the first question would be, what is your favorite color?
That one's an easy one, Sam. It's orange. It's always been orange, and it always will be orange.
All right. Oh, you thought it was going to be like a deep question, like?
No, well, I mean, it is kind of a deep question. I'm well known in my family for being obsessive about the color orange. I like it a lot.
Okay. All right. So I don't know if anyone ever chose orange before. A lot of times I'll get blue or black or purple. Well, blue has been number 1. But you might be the first guy to say orange, like just straight up orange. So that's great. That's, first time, and you're hitting a different color for all the episodes I've done so far. So my second question is, what is your favorite meal to prepare or to cook? What is it, the day you're in the kitchen and you have all the, you have it to yourself. It's a great day. You have all the ingredients you want, all the condiments. What will that dish be?
Wow. Is it going to be in the summertime or is it in the summertime or in the wintertime? I need to know.
I like that. Well, let's go with the summer. Let's go with the summertime.
Okay. Well, if it's summer, I'm going to hit the grill. I'll be out, and it will be a grilled chili cilantro lime shrimp that I'll put on skewers. Then I'll serve it up on freshly made tortillas, kind of fajita style, and chase that with a little homemade guacamole. And that'll do it. That'll do it.
Okay. Simple. Simple. Now,
Yes,
what if I chose the winner? What would have happened?
if it's the winter, then I'm going to make my dish that I made ever since I was a starving student. It's called dal, Italian, a Indian curried lentil dish. Very basic in Indian food, called dal. And basically it's lentils, onions, curry, some stock if you can do vegetable, or I do chicken because I'm not vegetarian. And it just makes a hearty curry. And you can cook that up on a Sunday afternoon, and you'll have it every day, every night that week. Chase that with a little bit of rice or some homemade naan flatbread that they have in India. And that's a meal that's going to take you through the week.
Okay. We're getting a little vibe. We got a little vibe. Okay. So my third and final question, he's ready to go. Who are some of the people you've been listening to in the last week or so?
Wow. Well, yeah, that's why the other two questions were easy. This one is tough because I'm listening a lot, but I'll isolate an individual because we're recognizing the 100th year, although he's no longer with us clearly, of the great saxophonist John Coltrane. So there's a lot of activity around the music of John Coltrane. And in fact, well, he's very special in all of our lives, especially as saxophonists, but all of us. I feel quite connected with the music of John Coltrane in a couple of ways. One is when I was a young man, I grew up in Los Angeles, and he wasn't there, but his widow, his wife, Alice Coltrane, who was also a great musician, she was in Los Angeles. And once a year, she would give what she called the Coltrane Family Concerts at the campus of UCLA. And I would go there as a young person. And so I got to meet her and hear this incredible spiritually infused jazz music that she was doing, which led me, of course, to the music of her late husband, John Coltrane. But now I find myself, as I told you, I'm a professor at Long Island University, where I teach on Long Island, New York, is about 15 minutes from the home of John and Alice Coltrane, where they lived at the end of John Coltrane's life. And in fact, it's the very home where in the attic of that home, he composed his great masterwork, A Love Supreme. So I go over there sometimes at lunchtime, take my little sandwich, sit in Mr. Coltrane's driveway, and I'll eat my sandwich and I'll get a little inspiration from the vibe, you know.
Okay.
But clearly an inspiring musician, all of us. But yeah, I've been listening to John Coltrane this week, and it's always inspiring. And we recognize it's 100 years since his birth, although his own lifespan was relatively short. Yeah.
Yes. Well, wow. So, Jeff, is there anything that you wanted to discuss that I didn't get to ask you? Anything you wanted to just share with the audience that I didn't get to ask you?
Yeah. With regards to the current project, it's very diverse musically. There's some things that will take your listeners by surprise, and there's other sounds that are more familiar. But what I just want to get across with this recording is that we all have a yearning to create things in this lifetime, and we have to make sure that we have the opportunity that everybody gets to fulfill their artistic visions. Not only these great composers that I'm talking about, but all of us, each of us in our own lives, that we have and seize upon the opportunity and space to create these creative projects that mean a lot to us. And I feel so fortunate and lucky that I get to record some of these and share them with the world. So it's really a privilege to do so, and great to be able to share some of these ideas with you.
Amen. And thank you so much. This was amazing. We need to do this again. And who knows, maybe we'll be long life friends after this.
There you go. And next time around, we can talk about the music business. Now, that's another discussion.
Yes. I graduated in 2012. And from Full Sail, actually, I was one of the online students and studied music business around that time. Before that, I was in the industry a little bit, and I was like, I need to know how this thing works. So, I was able to go in there and really learn how it works and so on. And fortunately, a few years later, they say, "Hey, what do you think about coming down to Full Sail?" So
Yeah, that's
that
beautiful. That's wonderful.
I opted for the opportunity. Said, "Hey, hallelujah!" And so it required me to relocate. So I was living in Delaware at the time, so I relocated, and now I'm here. In the Orlando area.
Beautiful.
And,
Well, that's
Oh, by the way, how
it's
can
a good
folks,
place to be.
Yes. I'm so sorry. How can folks get to follow you? You have like a website and like a.
Of course, yeah. My website and the name of my record label is Little I Music. That's the word little. Let's see if I can do this on screen. The letter I, so people remember I had it tattooed on my arm. The letter I, music. So it's littleimusic.com. But if they remember my name, if you type that into, any of those search things, a whole lot of funny pictures and sounds and links will come up for sure. So they'll be able to follow all of that stuff.
Okay. Jeff, it was a pleasure.
Likewise, Sam. Very good to meet you, and congratulations on the Muzilog, which really just covers such a wide array of music. It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
All right.